Oh, wait for it. Wait for it. What's up, beautiful people? It's O. This is the O Show, live and inspired, uncut, unedited. Gotta turn the music down. On today's episode, how to overcome fear of failure. But first, get down, good Lord. Baby's got him digging all over town. Fear of failure. The dream killer. Probably the number one thing that stops us from expressing ourselves, from loving, living, and giving fully, from giving our souls music. And I'm gonna decode it. I'm gonna hack it. Crack the code, or at least share with you some insights, some revelations on how to actually overcome the fear of failure. I'm gonna break that on down for you on this episode. But first, I wanna share this powerful clip from Kobe Bryant that blew my mind and also reveals another deep insight connected to parenting that I also experienced around success and failure. So if you are a parent, or if you're being a parent to yourself, listen up, and then I'll circle right back.
You know, I had a summer where I played basketball when I was like 10 or 11 years old, and I scored not a free throw, not a lucky shot, not a breakaway layup, 0 points. And I remember crying about it, being upset about it. And my father just gave me a hug and said, listen, whether you score 0 or score 60, I'm gonna love you no matter what. Now that is the most important thing that you can say to a child. Because from there, I was like, okay, that gives me all the confidence in the world to fail. I have the security there. But to hell with that, I'm scoring 60.
Revelation number one. Let this sink in. Never mind how or needing to understand, just let it sink in if it resonates. You do not have a fear of failure. You do not have a fear of failure. So to try to overcome something that doesn't actually exist is already gonna set you on a path of failure. Right? All right, let me break this down. What I mean by, turn the music down here. What I mean when I say you don't have a fear of failure, human beings do not innately fear failure. I'll get to that here in a second. And what we call fear of failure is actually a fear of something else, like embarrassment or rejection, or it's not an actual fear of failure. Failure meaning you set out, you have a goal, an objective, a dream, a vision, a desire, a task, something you're trying to accomplish, and then it doesn't work out the way you wanted it to, right? That's what we're calling failure. And to say that we have a fear of that in and of itself is not accurate. One time I was coaching a lady, for example, on starting a new business, right? And she said she had a fear of failure. I said, what do you mean by failure? And I said, well, tell me what failure means, right? What does failure mean to you? She said, well, the business doesn't work out. I was like, well, what does that even mean? And there's a clue right there. If you're gonna break down a fear or a fear of failure, instead of it being this abstraction, right? Something that you're, this kind of disembodied statement, like I fear failure, right? Really get in touch with the actual fear and what you're calling failure. I gotta insert another golden nugget here. All fear, you may have heard me say this before, all fear is actually a fear of feeling, and feeling won't kill you. I could stop the tape right there, and that will serve you very well. All fear is a fear of feeling. So failure is a feeling, it's not a thing, right? So we're not afraid of not succeeding at something or something not going the way that we want to. So that is something to let really sink in. So if we peel back the layers, like with this lady, what we really got down to, she said, well, failure looks like the business not succeeding. I was like, okay, well, why are you afraid of that though? She's like, well, no. I said, well, what do you mean by it not succeeding? Well, not making money, but are you afraid of that? No. Okay, well, why are you afraid of that? Well, because then I wouldn't be able to feed my kids. I said, do you really mean to tell me that if your business didn't succeed, you actually think your kids would starve? You? as this super ambitious being, super mom that I'm talking to you right now? Would you actually let that happen? She's like, no. So yeah, it might be deeply distressing and uncomfortable and stressful, but do you actually fear that? She's like, no. I said, so what is the fear? And we kept peeling back the layers, and it really came down to her friends, her family, her community, those closest to her feeling ashamed. So she had a fear of shame, a fear of embarrassment, saying enthusiastically, getting people on board with her vision, saying she's gonna do something and it not working out. That's where the actual fear was located. So you see, if no amount of her trying to overcome the fear of failure by succeeding at her objectives, by her vision, is going to actually overcome the fear, because the fear was a fear of embarrassment. And even deeper than that, it's a fear of disconnection, a fear of losing love. So I want to break this down even further. Like, where does this whole fear of failure thing even come from? And now I'm going to jump to what I mean when I say it's not innate in humans. When we come into this world, everything is brand new. We're like, whoa, all of these colors and sounds and sensations and all of this newness, right? And we have desire. We may not think of it as desire, right? When we're babies, but learning to walk, for example. It's like we want to get from here to over there, and we're crawling, we're fumbling, we're like, oh, what are these? Oh, what are these things? When I move this thing this way, it's like, ugh. When a baby's learning to walk, and this is how I can prove to you that there's no such thing as a fear of failure. When a baby's learning to walk, he's failing. She is failing. When you were a baby, you failed magnificently, masterfully. You failed thousands and thousands and thousands of times before you learned to walk. But a baby naturally, and this is what I mean by innate, a baby naturally doesn't stumble and fall or bump into something and go, oh my God, I'm so embarrassed. I should know how to walk by now. I'm already 18 months. You know, all the other 18-month babies, my friends, they're all walking beautifully at this time. And you see, that is a clue right there. It is not the very act itself of not succeeding that creates the fear or any feeling. It's the meaning that we give to it, the identification we have with that meaning, that then sets up this experience of contraction when we're failing, right? So for example, me getting on this video, I have an intention to be of service, but if in my conscious or subconscious mind, I have defined that service makes me important, makes me valuable, makes me worthy of love, or if I succeed at this, if you like this video, that means I'm worthy of love. Really, that is at the core of this fear of failure thing, all right? Is that we don't just succeed or fail, meaning we do the thing, accomplish it, or we do not. We internalize it and give it meaning in a story that is out of alignment with our true nature. So instead of I'm succeeding or failing, it's I am a success, I am a failure, which is code for I'm worthy of love. When I'm succeeding, I'm not worthy of love, and I'm not valuable when I'm failing. That's the whole entire construct and system. So when we were babies and we're failing thousands of times learning to walk, there was no story, there was no judgment, there was no fear. There's just intention, there's will, there's curiosity, there's exploration. All new information, constantly failing is succeeding, failing and succeeding. There's no actual concept of a fear of failure. It is socially conditioned. Take the school system, for example. You go into school, the teacher says, oh, who knows the answer to this question, or calls on you, and you raise your hand or you get called on, and then there's this feeling of nervousness. We've all had it before inside. We want to get the right answer. Why? Because of the social conditioning, the social acceptance, the internalization of value, a value placed on our being for succeeding or for not succeeding. So, I'm running out of time here, but you do not have a fear of failure, right? Redefine your objective. Like right now, my objective is to be of service. I'm not attached to what that looks like, but I cannot actually fail at that. All right, peace.